How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffle Rowlett, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. In this video, I want to talk about a subject that I think we've gone through a million times at this point, but I want to bring it up again and talk about it, but I want to look at it from a little bit of a different perspective, right? I want to talk about this because a lot of people make the argument, right, that, graphics don't matter, and it's true. It all depends about the gameplay, and I fully agree with that, okay? And I want to go through that specifically today and show you how I can agree with that in certain areas with other games I play, and I want to show you a bit of an example of that. But I also want to show you why the concept that they're remaking the 3D models makes no sense. This is information, again, coming from people that do 3D modeling and that sort of stuff professionally, from people that do this as their job, you know what I mean? So please understand that I'm only getting this, information from people that do this, and it's all still speculative, right? So we've already gone through some of these subjects before, but I want to look at this from a little bit of a different perspective today, because honestly, you gotta understand, I would much more prefer if I could just sit here and talk about positive things about these games, right? And just talk about all the things I'm excited about, which I can do, right? I can definitely do that. There's definitely stuff I can talk about in that sense. But there's also the factor of what the main issue here is. And it is less for me about graphics and more about an inherent issue with Game Freak. So let's talk about that. But before we get into that particular subject, let's start with this first. So here is a post by New Wasabi, Wabi-Sabi, sorry, not you, New Wasabi, sorry, New Wabi-Sabi, or Sabi to be simple, who basically is also like an insider who tends, kind of leak stuff and that sort of stuff. And here's what the, post says here, which is that Van Ross is quite good at this, and this is a good piece of evidence. Nice, can't believe the issue is still ongoing, but people still require more evidence, I presume. And it's a post here from Van Ross, and we'll get down to that, but I want to point something out that was posted by an individual down here called Omega Torrent, who said he counted the polygon and reuse ultimate model in screenshots and in Ken's ultimate model in the leaked screenshot to determine they shared the same model base to confirm its validity. He good. So clearly Van Ross seems to have done a lot of work when it comes to, dissecting games ahead of time to figure what the deal is with them with 3D models and stuff. So he knows his 3D modeling. You can see here he's a freelance 3D character artist. So that we know that. And here's what Van Ross posted. The notion that Sword and Shield models are new is demonstrably false. Sorry, my English is awful. False. They are polygon for polygon, the same as the 3D models. They haven't even been subdivided to a higher resolution. They do have fully new textures, which is true, aside from just color. None of the major landmark lines lines up. So here you can see, these are exactly the same model. This right here is the Sword and Shield model of Gyarados. This right here is the 3DS model of Gyarados. And this right here is the 3DS wire, which is the wireframe, right, of the 3D model. These are the same. They're the same model. There's like, in all fairness, remaking the model identically is technically speaking almost impossible. Like, not fully impossible, but it's such a more hard thing to do that it makes no sense. Just making a better one, or even a worse one, would have been easier, or just making a brand new, making a brand new one, right, from scratch, would have actually been easier, and it would look different. It wouldn't look the same. It would genuinely look different, because making it identical is kind of hard. You can even see it in the way this one, look at how this bends. Look at all the points here where his whiskers bend, right? His whiskers aren't meant to, bend really like that, the way they kind of do in there. They should just kind of have a little bit more flow in them, right? Look at how they bend exactly the same. Exactly the same bending here. This is exactly identical. There is no denying that they're reusing the same 3DS models. There is literally no way that they are not reusing these things. It's just impossible for me to look at this and assume that they're making these from scratch. It just, in no way does that seem possible to me, okay? And here's where that's an issue, okay? You might be asking, okay, maybe you're wrong, but maybe you're right. Who knows, right? We won't know until the games are out, and that's true. But we've already said that a million times, and we can say that a million times again, that once the games are out, we'll know. But I think for right now, it just doesn't seem like that's the case. It just doesn't seem like that the case is that they're remaking these models from scratch, because that would be almost more impossible. And I think somebody down here actually asks the a question about this, and Van Ross actually gives an answer, which is that I just want to know how are you all how are all you getting these models when the game isn't even out yet? Is just by how it looks, or just how I'm importing them from demo, etc. Then he says here the Sword and Shield model is a screenshot. The 3DS models have been roughly posed to the same position as the Sword and Shield model to make the comparison. To the untrained eye, it can be difficult to see polygons faceting, which is why I've marked a few of the more obvious vertexes in the green corners. And you can see right here, right? They pop up in the exact same areas. You know, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The only difference is the texture. And maybe when they said remaking models, maybe it was a misinterpretation by the person, you know, who was typing all this down, or as this was recorded, or maybe how, you know, the guys Masuda and Omori, maybe how they, you know, explained it. Maybe they were talking about just remaking the textures, because there is a remade texture here. There's definitely a brand new texture. Is it amazingly different? No, but it is different though, and it's improved, and it's, you know, clearly been improved upon. That's undeniable. The texture, and for those who do not know, a model and a texture are two different things. A model is the actual physical thing, right? The physical being. The texture is the actual color, right? The color, the shading, that's the texture. So texture and model are two different things. For example, over here, this is a model, right? The gray one you see right here next to my face, this over here, this is a model, okay? A texture is what you put over that model, right? So over here, this is how all models look like to begin with. They're just gray and it's nothing there. It's just a wireframe, etc., right? That's a model, right? But a texture is the color you put on it, which you can see over here. This one has improved textures. So it's not like they haven't done anything. They clearly have improved stuff. But the problem is that they clearly aren't making brand new models. It just on account, and just based on the information and the thoughts and the opinions from several people that do 3D work professionally, including people I know personally, these are the same models. This is the exact same model. But of course, I can't 100% say that until we have the games, which is true. But I want to bring up the reason we even point these things out, because people will make the argument, and people constantly make this argument that, hey guy, hey, but I don't care about the graphics and stuff. You know, I don't care about that. I don't care about it. I just want to play Pokemon, right? And the thing is, right, I don't actually even care about it myself either, if it wasn't for one simple fact, and that's the reasoning they gave for the Pokédex not being in the game, the full Pokédex, right, with all the Pokemon. The reasoning they gave was higher quality animations and models. Now here's the problem. How are they higher quality when it's basically the same thing? Only thing you've changed is the textures. And we don't even need to go into the Dynamaxing, because Dynamaxing is literally just sizing up a Pokemon. It's not that hard to size up a model. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's really not that difficult. So the only places in Sword and Shield where it was currently, okay, and please understand, I'm talking about currently, at the time this is recorded, the only things, you know, that I've seen that are brand new are some of the brand new moves, as well as the brand new Pokemon. But those are a given. Those should be there to begin with, you know what I mean? Those should be there initially. That shouldn't even be like, you know, like some sort of discussion. If you're making a brand new game, of course you have to make new Pokemon and new animations, you know, for brand new moves and stuff. That's just kind of, that just comes with the job, right? But whereas, you know, I don't see a reason. It doesn't feel like there's any specific reason for why the other Pokemon aren't included, and why they shouldn't be able to be patched in later, but they won't do that because Game Freak doesn't do patches where they include all the Pokemon, and they have no reasoning, business-wise, they have no reason to do that. Now, like I said, the only issue I have is that the reasons they gave for no national decks don't line up. They just do not line up. But that's the only issue I have, okay? That's the only issue I have. I would not be nitpicking anything or looking into anything, you know, in particular, trying to dissect everything, if it wasn't for the fact that the reasoning they gave just is not realistic. It just does not seem realistic whatsoever to me. And I'm just simply, as a fan, hoping for a better product. I want more transparency. I want a better product, because if I'm paying for it, I want it to be better. I want it to be good. I wanted them to improve. I don't want Game Freak to fail. I would appreciate if Game Freak were to actually spend more time on these games and not like force themselves to rush these things out, but instead, you know, take their time and maybe give their side projects. I'm not talking about town and stuff, but I'm talking about side projects like the 3D, you know, 3 remakes. I mean, the remake games, right? Like ORAS and that sort of stuff. You know, when Sinnoh remakes that are coming next. Give those games to a third party or a different studio to make. So you can focus on your other IPs like Town and Elephant, Gamey, Bajingy, I don't know, Jumbo the Elephant or something. And then you can focus on those, your own IPs, the brand new ones, and your mainline Pokemon games that need to be released every 3 to 4 years, right? You can focus on that, Game Freak. That's all I'm asking, just do that. Now, I want to show you specifically why I don't care about graphics, particularly, because many people will say like, oh, you're just out for, why do you care about the graphics so much? Well, I want to show you a game that I'm excited about that's actually coming out very soon, and a game that's been around for a very long time, actually. Not as long as, actually no, almost as long, or a franchise has been around as long, I would say, as Pokemon, and I'm talking about World of Warcraft. And I want to show you a video here. So I'm excited about World of Warcraft Classic, and just a quick explanation for what World of Warcraft Classic is. It's basically the original version of Warcraft, the initial version, like the original one that was released back in 2004. It's that version of the game being re-released right now with brand new servers, so we can officially play it. Us fans, we can play it now, right? Now, the other version of World of Warcraft that you see over here, the one that's called BFA over here, that's the current updated version of the game that exists today. Now, let me explain. The classic version, for me, is way better. I love classic WoW, the original vanilla, the original game with all its shitty graphics and all that stuff. I love that game. Why? Because its gameplay, its journey, everything across the board in that game was just amazing to me. Just being able to run through this huge world, not knowing what the hell I'm doing, having a good time, finding these weird little things. It was amazing. It was just an amazing journey. And then BFA, on the other hand, is a game that holds my hands. Sure, it looks better visually, right? Oh, cool, it's got better graphics, and I'll show you here in this video. Sure, BFA has better graphics, but the game just isn't great. The gameplay is boring. There's too much hand-holding, right? I'm being led everywhere, like, oh, you want to do something? I gotta hold your hand while you're doing it. That's what the other game does here. So I'm gonna tell you this right now about Sword and Shield. I don't care about any of this, right? Or even the national decks. As long as the Pokemon game that we get, Sword and Shield game, is actually a good game. If it has a good story, a good world to explore, tons of new content, tons of post-game. If it has all of that, the things that should make a Pokemon game great, then I don't care about these extra things that, like graphics and stuff, because I can have fun in a game without the graphics being amazing, because that's what I do with World of Warcraft. Look at this, right? Here's the original version of World of Warcraft. Look at the textures, very old, outdated, and here's the updated one. Clearly improved graphics, right? Better textures on the ground. Grass looks higher fidelity. If you go back here, you can clearly see like lower fidelity grass. Here you have the Stormwind, old Stormwind. You can look at some of the footage here, like old Stormwind. Look at the ground textures, they're horrible, just like really just don't look great. And then you jump over here to current. Clear improvement on the ground textures, the walls and whatnot. Here, entrance to Stormwind. See, it's like there's clear improvements, right? Like it's clearly gotten better. Sure, this shows way less. If you actually look at some of the like other areas, like Kulteris and stuff that they've added now into Battle for Azeroth. Look right here, right? You can barely see anything in the distance, right? The trees look pretty shitty. Here, you can actually see stuff in the distance, right? You can see far more things going on. The ground looks better. The game is clearly improved. But guess what? Even the character models, right, look way better. It's like they're clearly done an improvement. BFA versus classic graphics. If we actually search that up here and show you another one, so I want to just show you guys what I'm talking about. Here we go. Let's see. Here, for example, we have two things, right? Here we have a like direct comparison between the two, right? On the right side, oh, this is actually the original WoW. Sorry about that. But here you go, for example. This is what I was going to show you. So here you can see the original model on the left side from the original game of a Night Elf, and the right side, the new one, right? Sure, the new one, yeah, arguably does look better, and I wouldn't mind having that one in the original vanilla, but I don't mind playing vanilla the way it is, because inherently to me it's a better game. To me, the vanilla is just a better game content-wise and gameplay-wise, right? And guess what? Maybe Sword and Shield can be a better game than even Heart Gold Soul Silver, which hard to beat, by the way, hard as hell to beat, but maybe it can be a better game content-wise. Maybe it can have even more content than something like Heart Gold Soul Silver. Maybe it's going to be better than like Sun and Moon, which had all the Pokemon in it, right? Sun and Moon had all of them. But guess what? Maybe it just wasn't a good game in all the other aspects, like post-game and that sort of stuff. But guess what? Maybe Sword and Shield might not have all the Pokemon, might not have the good graphics, but maybe it's going to make up in gameplay. So I still give these games a chance, but I'm still going to keep criticizing them. And please hope you guys understand my position. A lot of people dislike this video, a lot of people will hate me, a lot of people unsubscribe, but I please just beg you, hope you understand my position, and hopefully you can have a respectful way to look at this. I'm gonna try to just work on some other videos now, some other, like, you know, different videos, some more positive stuff about Sword and Shield, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop criticizing. Don't think that all of a sudden, you know, oh, Ruffle's just gonna stop talking about Sword and Shield in a negative manner. No, I'm gonna keep going down my little rabbit hole rants and talking about issues I have, because I just want to get a better product. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. It's like 4 in the morning. Have a great night, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.